Are you getting the most from your herb garden? Or you're like I used to be and end up growing a lot of herbs but never actually using them because I just either let them grow to seed or didn't actually know what to do. So in this video I've got you covered because I'm going to give you my favourite methods on how to get more from the herbs you're already growing. Let's get into the video. So method number one is possibly the easiest and most convenient method of all of them. I do this every single time I come down to work in the garden. I walk past, crouch down here and pick something, whatever I can reach. Got some fennel here, some spearmint, strawberry mint, lemon balm. I'm spoilt for choice. The point is I come down like a cow and just munch on all these greens and get the medicine that's inside them. And it's funny, you can't actually beat the taste and the freshness of these leaves. Literally eaten seconds from picking. Imagine if you could do that on a supermarket shelf, you can pick it that fresh. It's impossible. So that is definitely why it's just an obvious way of getting more from your herb garden. So the next method is infusing the herbs with water. This is my absolute favourite way of using the herbs. I've been doing it almost every single morning for the last few months since I've actually had the herbs ready to pick in the garden. Here you can see I've got some lemon balm below these. Look at this, by the way. The amount of red currants overhanging here. All you do is come down the night before, pick some fresh herbs. This is lemon balm or spearmint, whatever special recipe you want to get creative with, but I've found lemon balm and spearmint is my favourite. Pick some big stems, put it in a jug, pour in some spring water, refrigerate overnight, and then in the morning you'll have a nice glass of cold infused water. Here's one I made earlier. I'm definitely not sharing it with anyone. That is so nice, you wouldn't even believe how nice it is. Tastes better than normal water, and it's also a lot healthier. So the next method is going to be of particular interest to you Brits because it's tea. It's very simple, similar to infused water, but instead we're going to boil it and make some nice mint tea. Who doesn't love a cup of tea? Especially when you can get fresh mint tea. It's really simple. All you have to do is get some big stems of spearmint, or like this one. This one's strawberry mint. We don't want that, we want spearmint. It's nicer. Spearmint, put it in a pan, boil it or let it basically just infuse the boiling water and then strain it, and you have a nice cup of tea to enjoy. So that's this method, but if you're not a tea drinker, don't worry, skip to the next one. So the next method is probably the most common method of all of them, to be honest, and that's drying. Drying herbs, especially this one in front of me, which is oregano, my absolute favourite herb to use in pretty much all meals, has to be dried to really get that flavour to come out. You actually can't really use it raw, it doesn't taste the same, it tastes more like a bitter mint leaf. It's not as good and it doesn't have that strong fragrance that oregano has. So drying it is a very simple method. All you'd have to do really is to wait for it to grow long enough to pick long stems. The flavour is usually best just before it's flowering because that's when most of the oils are in the leaves, but you can dry it any time of year and it works just the same. You want to come through and pick some big stems off like that and just get a big clump of stems. There's only a few there, but basically come and harvest a big clump of stems and then hang them to dry for about a week or a few days if you've got a good space. You want to choose an area that's got no light. You don't want direct sunlight on the dried herbs, and then you also want a nice aerated space so it's got air blowing through it so it doesn't go mouldy and rotten. You want it to dry, crisp. So I'm going to cut to the next bit where I'm showing you what I've done with some oregano and show you how I process it. So as you can see, I've got some dried oregano here. It's important to make sure you tie the string tight around the stems as they're drying because they will naturally go very thin and they can sometimes fall on the floor if you don't tie it tight enough originally. But I'm just going to remove this string. You can see this has been hanging for about a week now and they've gone nice and crispy because that's what you want to wait for. And then basically get a big bowl like this to catch all the crumbs of it, I suppose, and just crumple it into the bowl like this. And all the dried leaves will just crumble off into the bowl. It's very easy and you also get a very nice smelling hand after doing it. So now that I've got most of the dried leaves off the oregano stems, you can just throw them away, put them in the compost pile, You're left with this, and you can see there's some sticks you might need to remove out to get rid of any larger bits. And you can start to crumble up the rest of the oregano leaves to get like a finer leaf to sprinkle onto your food. So I'm just distracted by hens. What are you looking at? They're always hanging around in the background trying to get in on the action. And today they're thinking, what am I doing with these oregano leaves? Even though they don't like to taste them, they will definitely peck them. But yeah, you can see now I'm starting to get much finer. So like this, much finer. So now it's pretty fine. You just want to get a jar, got a jar here, and then ideally you want something to catch the missing, the stuff you miss with. If your aim's not that good. Put it on a plate, and just literally tip it in. So a jar like that. It's pretty accurate. That's pretty good. And that's how you can store or dry some oregano. The last method I'm going to talk about today is the smell and the fragrance of herbs. This smells amazing. This is wormwood. If you've never grown wormwood or you don't know what it smells like, all I can tell you is it is absolutely unbelievable. It is seriously one of the nicest smelling herbs that possibly grows in any herb garden. I prefer it to smell of even mint and lavender, but this is actually growing in the middle of my hen pen because wormwood has very good natural anti-flea properties, and it covers the night. It creates a really big shady bush in the summer, and hens just love going in the middle of it, getting some shade from the sun in the middle of the day, and just resting down there. So here I've got a lavender bush growing. This is actually an amazing plant to grow for the fragrance. There's actually studies showing that the smell of lavender can help treat insomnia, which is pretty amazing. I've not got any sleep issues, but if you have, I'll be very, very interested to know if it improves your sleep just by having this smell of this when you're going to sleep. It's really simple how to harvest it and actually create a setup like that. All you would need to do is to pick some stems, put it in a little mesh bag, and maybe add a few drops of essential oil, but it's not 100% necessary. Give it a rub to help release the oils, and then just pin it to your headboard and see what happens. It's also just a really nice smell as well. That's a secondary point, but that's why fragrance is definitely another use of herbs in the garden. So don't be afraid of going and picking your herb garden, because there's no point in growing it if you're not going to enjoy it. Remember, food is medicine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.